red, blue, I already said blue and green, and black and white to put some little accents on my birdies. Blue, I already said blue and green, and black and white. Got that muted. I'm going to go ahead and pin myself as well, because if what happens is when other people talk, it'll switch over. So I'm going to pin myself. Okay. All right. So welcome. I'm Ronita with the Purposeful Point, and I teach paint parties. And so, of course, I always grab my largest brush. I love my flat brushes. So majority of the time I do use a flat brush. You are welcome to use whichever brush that is comfortable for you. So I wet my brush. I like to wet my brush and touch it to the paper towel to get rid of any excess water. But I want my background to be a thin color, so I'm pretty much going to be really wet for my background. And so I'm going to go ahead and paint my background. I am painting on an 11 by 14 canvas board, and you're welcome to paint on anything that you like. There are several ladies that like to paint with, they use maybe like a note, not a notebook, but a book, so that they can keep it in a binder type. So I have several ladies that paint like that. But for me, just a canvas board so everyone can see. So on my example, I went vertical. And but today, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and just do my background. I'm probably not going to cover the whole background. I'll take it all the way out to the edge, because this painting really should have been on a smaller, maybe a 12 by 12 canvas would have sufficed. So I'm going to check and see if I have anybody that sent me an email saying, hey, let me in. But I don't think so. Oh, wow. The TV is on loud, and they are talking about the Kentucky Derby. So what it is for us is, because everyone knows a Derby, it happens on Saturday. All the celebs and all that good stuff, they come in on Saturday for the Derby. So traditionally, the folks in Louisville will go on, in Louisville, Kentucky, will go on Friday. It's the Oaks. It's pink out. They wear pink for breast cancer awareness. And so everybody goes then. So it's usually packed. Our schools are closed on Friday for the Oaks, so the teachers could participate without, just so the teachers can participate. So that's what happens on Friday. Well, Friday got so big that now there's a group that still goes Friday, but now they also go on Thursday. They don't also go on. A lot of people go on Thursday, and they call it Thurby, not Derby, but Thurby because of the TH. So there's a lot of people that take off on Thursday and go and enjoy the Thurby, and it's not as crowded as Friday or Saturday. So that's what they're on the news talking about, all the fun the folks had today, because a lot of people go on today. So I have lots of friends that go on today, which I've already had my trip to the track. I went on opening day, which was last Saturday. And I actually went to Millionaires Row. And that was, up top, far away from the track, but great experience. It was to support a nonprofit that purchased the tickets to do that. So I got my background covered, guys. Like I said, no rhyme or reason. I mixed, put a little blue, put a little bit of green, came back on top with a little bit of white to make it pale. And again, like I said, I didn't go all the way to the edges. You're welcome to do that if you want to go ahead and cover yours. But I didn't, because like I said, the subject matter is right there in the center, and probably a 12 by 12 would have sufficed for the picture this time. So I'm gonna put my brush down, which is also a super huge challenge for most people. I'll put my brush down so that I can let my background dry. All right.
I'm still swiping just a little bit. I got too much white on my.
Yes, well, most people are still swiping. That's why I always make it a point of saying, put your brush down, because of course no one listens. They continue to swipe, which is fine. Now, with the colors that I'm going to use, except for the red, everything kind of the blue and the green, it's all in the same family. I'm just going to put a heavier layer of the blue and the green. And so that if the background is still wet, it blends in, it's going to be fine. So when I do go in and add the birds, I'll start with the blue and the green, and that'll give the canvas a chance to dry up a little bit when I go in to add the red. But because my paint is so like a thin layer, it won't affect it much when I add the red either. So that is a big plus. And definitely I'll be doing the bird off the wire last, so that he can, I'll have time for that area to dry as well. I'm gonna slide my easel over a little bit, hoping to get him in the picture. And there he is. So that is super awesome. And taking a look at the horses that are going to be running, my oldest son, his name is Jace. And one of the horses that are running, can't remember which number he is, but it's spelled the same way. It's Jace's Road. So of course, we're going to put $1 million on that horse. Because okay, so I won't put 1 million. I'll put, let me see. I'm trying to think of the number. I have it written down, of course, so I do know the number of what his tuition is going to be for the next 4 years. And that's how much we're going to bet in order to win that enough money to cover tuition for 4 years. How about that? That'll work better. And so for us, Derby is like our one big, different cities have different things that go on in their city and they celebrate. Derby is it for us. We celebrate it for the whole month of April leading up to Derby. And the Derby race itself is like the highlight, the crescendo, what the very top. And, after that, everything kind of mellows out. But that is our one big celebration holiday. We've had what we call Thunder over Louisville, where the largest firework display in the United States. They also have an air show where military and different types of air machines fly over and do a show there. We have, of course, the Pegasus Parade. It's usually on a Thursday, but this year it was on this past Sunday. Let me see. We have the steamboat race, and that's the Belle of Louisville races against another steamboat. I can't remember I don't know what they raced this year. It's usually a steamboat out of Cincinnati. We also have a balloon race, a hot air balloon race. We have a bed race. That bed race is also to raise money for a charity. So yes, and also we have a marathon / mini marathon. That was last weekend. That's always the weekend before the Derby. And normally, wow, I started running those in 2007. And I missed one when I was pregnant. I missed another one during COVID because they canceled it. And then this is the first one that I just outright didn't train and I missed it. But hopefully I won't let that happen again. So I feel like it's dry enough for me to start. I've talked enough. I'm going to go ahead and add my bird. And I'm not sure if this brush is too big, but I am going to check it out and see what I think about it. And now in order to paint my birds, I am going to paint the birds first and draw my wire afterwards because I kind of want their tail feathers to be behind the wire. So painting my birds, I'm going to paint ovals. All right. They don't have to. I'm going to, first of all, I did 2 C's, right? You guys see that? A C this way and a C the other way, a really open C, not a big curvy C, but go this way. And then this way. And then that's my bird of my body. And I'll fill that in with the paint. And then for the head, I'm going to make a circle on top of this oval, but it's not going to be like at the top. It's that circle's going to come into the body. So you can see how I did that. Can you see how I combined those two? And I'm using this canvas board, and the canvas board does not absorb paint. So it kind of sits on there, and it that's what you see, where it's not really blending in. So I have that blue. Oh, I had to put a little bit of a tail on him. And that's going to be kind of like a V for his tail. And there I have my bird. Okay, next I am going to paint. I'm going to grab my green. You don't have to wash the paint out of your brush, but I did. And now this one, I did have it. Put that one in there. You guys can see that good. I'm going to do the same thing. I might make him, actually, I made him a little bit smaller, but let's see. I'm going to do this side closest to the bluebird so that I can make sure that I space him out far enough. So my C, like that. And the C on the other side. I'm going to go back on top with another layer of paint. Now I'm using blue and green. You do not have to make your birds the same color as me. I always encourage you guys to make it your own. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the little head on there, but I'm not going to put the head on top of the body. I'm going to put it towards the top. And so like it's half above the body and half in the body. Okay, see that I did that. And then, again, same thing. I'm going to put that tail, that V at the bottom, and then fill it in with the paint. Okay, so now it is time for my red, which I'm not sure. Like I said, I put a really thin layer of paint on my canvas. So my canvas is pretty much dry. So it won't be any problem with adding my red. And again, even if it was wet, it's so thin that it wouldn't be much mixing, and my red is kind of heavy. I've been using this bright red, and some of my painters, that red it looks really, when it's so thin, it looks pink, and they have to add a second layer. So that might be the case for me. And again, I'm going to do my C that's closest to this bird so that I can space it correctly. And this one, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. You guys, you can make them the same size. You can make them different sizes. That's entirely up to you guys. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to make him a little bit bigger, but I still want the bottom of him to line up with the other birds because of the wire. Now, if it was a branch, now you can make a branch, paint a branch there instead of the wire. It's a branch, you can make it any, you're imitating nature, then it does not have to be exact, and it could be at a slant at a different level. You can put the birds on it at a different level. But if I'm going to do a wire, very seldom is the wire kind of crooked. So if I'm going to emulate the wire, that's what I want it to be a little bit exact. So I have the body there, oval shape with my two C's going opposite. And now I'm going to put my little circle at the top, but merge it with the top of the body. Okay. That TV is really loud. And now I want to put my V at the bottom and fill that in with paint. Okay. So next is going to be my yellow. And then I'm okay with the yellow blending in. So same thing, except it's going to be, and really it's titled bird off the wire, but if you want your bird to be on up, you can paint him, you can put them all in unison on top. But I just wanted to, I was like, this is getting too uniform. I'm all about abstract. So I painted him hanging from the wire. So I'm going to do that. And again, I'm trying to line up their feet. Think about where his feet would be. And I'm going to draw that C. If you can see the my yellow paint is a little bit thinner. Put his head on there. And so also what I did after I drew my curve is I kind of ruffled his feathers a little bit. So I turned my brush, instead of painting horizontally, I turn it vertically. And then I'm going to kind of spike out where his leaves, his feathers would be. His feathers are ruffled. So I brought him out to the side because he's ruffled because he fell off the wire. So that's what I did with him. And like I said, the paint is very thin. Normally I would say if you don't, I would, if I was in a setting where I was painting, I would let that dry and then put another layer of the yellow. I'm not going to worry about that because we are layering it. We'll bring him out with the white and as you guys can see, we can bring him out with the white and the black paint when we get to those details. So let's see. Normally I would jump in and go ahead and add the white to the bodies, but they're probably still kind of wet. So I'm going to put, I'm going to go with the beaks. Go ahead and add their beaks on with the black because it doesn't matter with the black. Now I don't have black on. There it is. brush a little bit. I did grab a pointer brush, although I love my flat brush. Sometimes some details do require a flat brush. So I grab my flat brush. And now the blue bird, I had him kind of turned towards the green one. So I'm going to angle his. I'm going to make a triangle, just a really thin, a rhombus. A rhombus is a thinner triangle, right? You guys, I don't know if they taught us the rhombus in school or not, but I don't remember learning what the rhombus was, the skinny rhombus, until my son was in preschool and he learned about the skinny rhombus. So I am going to make a skinny rhombus, kind of like a carrot for a snowman. So there is my beak. Okay. Then I take the butt of my brush and I'm going to dip it in my black. And that'll make a nice, perfect eye. Anatomically, I'm not sure where the eye goes, but just dot that on there. Now I'm going to wipe off the butt. I am going to use it again. I probably could have went ahead and done the other eyes, but I'm going to wait and put my beaks on there so that I can position them, center them. So my next bird, my green, I'm going to make his, I wanted him to be facing forward. So I don't like this one. I'm going to bring it out some more. So I'm going to make his a little triangle upside down. That loud TV is really driving me crazy. Okay, that's a lot better. And also I'm going to go ahead and dot those, stick the butt of my brush in my paint and give him a couple of eyes. And then I want to put some paint on this fella, my bigger bird. And I angled his up a little bit. Not sure why I did that, but I'm going to repeat it. You can see that I angled that up. Is that close enough for you guys to see? That I angled his up a little bit. And I'm going to do the same. Dip and dot. I don't think I put that high enough. You're gonna have a big eye. Okay. Now, let's get the yellow guy. And I did his a little bit different because I made his eyes circle because I want him to be like, surprise. So I made circles for his eyes. And I didn't make that very well. And then I also made a circle for his mouth, like his beak is wide open, like, oh, okay. Now I'm going to rinse that. We are going to come back with some black, with some highlights, but you can leave the black in and lay it down, but peculiar about my brushes, I like to wash them because we are using acrylic paint. Acrylic paint does dry fast. So I don't want that to sit in my brush too long and not be able to get it out. So next I have my white. I have my faces on my birds and have my white, and I'm gonna paint their chests white. And you can see there, it's white, but it is mixed with a little bit blue. So it's okay if your paint is still. I just want it to be primarily white. So it's okay if, I just feel like I'm so far away, guys. Hold on. All right. Hopefully that's better. You can't see the other bird on the wire, off the wire, but that's okay. So I am going to give their chests a little bit of white, and I should go smaller with my brush, but you guys know that I'm really hard-headed about my brush. And it looks like my paint is dry enough that it didn't mix very much. There, it did mix there. And I'm going to go, I didn't rinse my brush. I still have my white in it. And I'm going to move over to my green bird and fill that in. A lot of white on that one. Could have been less. And then, again, I'm not going to rinse it out. My red one, and I'm not going to put the red in the center because I do have him a little bit with the impression that he's kind of turned a little bit. So I'm going to put it more to the side. And I would tell you if it's left or right, but because my angle, I don't know which one is your left and all that good stuff. And so I'll put a little more paint, and I'm also going to do this little guy. Give him, okay. Okay. So let everybody make sure you guys are caught up. I'm moving a little fast. I usually have Diane on, and she's my anchor. When I see that she's done, I know it's time to move on to the next step. But she's not here today, so I don't have anybody to kind of gauge myself off of. Because Diane, she's about my speed. She's like paint, 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 and keep it moving.
We're almost with you, not quite. Greg's on the yellow bird and I'm on the red one.
Okay. So I am going to go back to my black to use a little bit of throw some accents in there. Okay, so I'm ready to add some little more character to my bird with the black paint. So I'm going to go back to my pointer brush. And wet it a little bit. It's already kind of damp from me using it previously, but I wanted to have a point. So dab it on my brush, on my paper towel, get rid of any excess water. And put a little accent on him. Now I did go back and like, you can see my blue, I added a little bit of green. My green, I added a little bit of blue. I'm gonna put black and see what I think about it and then go from there. So I kind of put, let me see. I like that. I did kind of outline my birds a little bit. And it's okay if it mixes, if it's still wet. But I'm going to outline my birds with my black. Just it's not exact, just with swipes, not intentional lines like thick lines or anything, just kind of a swipe around the outside, and also bring it down into his the tail feathers. And I did put try to put a little bit of feathers on top of his head that make it look like look a little bit better. He does look like a different kind of fella. And I also put a little bit of black around his chest area where I have it painted white. Okay. And I'm going to pretty much do that to all of them. Outline the green and bring it down to in his tail feathers. And I did outline his tail feathers, but I do put a couple of black strokes in there as well to make it look like the feathers. I'm going to go back up and outline his white. And I don't like his head, so I got to put some feathers doing some different things on that head. Okay. Right. And then my red one, I definitely not real crazy about his feathers. So almost make him look like a cardinal bird. But I'm going to outline him as well with my black strokes, not like a heavy black line, but just kind of strokes that kind of blend in together. Same thing with his tail feather. And outline his white. I like the strokes instead of the hard black line because it so that it kind of emulate feathers. This one. Yep, that didn't work out the way I liked it. Okay, so now I also want to, of course, not to leave out our fella hanging off the line. I outline him a little bit. And then, of course, like I said, his are kind of ruffled. So I want to put those where I have his wings kind of spanned out. Could have put a couple strokes in those so it looks like he's ruffled. And outline his center. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to do something to his head, put anything around his head. Maybe I put it up to like a point. Like he's got feathers are point up. It's okay. All right. So they put a couple of strokes in the body area. Again, a couple strokes in the body. I'm getting close so I can show you what I mean. You can see I put some strokes there in the red. Again, just to give it that feathery look. And also I did the red, got some in the, getting ready to add to the blue. Got some in the green. And have some to the blue. Just not dedicated thick lines, just some swipes in there so that it'll emulate feathers, guys. I actually do have a derby party that I have to go to this evening, which will be really different for me because I usually don't go out in the evenings. I celebrate my derby right here at the house, but we do have one that starts kind of late, and we'll be going to that later. The hubby and I. know if you guys can hear my son, he's so loud. Well, they're both very loud, but the other one's probably not on the phone with his friend, so he's not as loud. So I do want to go ahead and add my wire. You can make that as thick or thin, or like I said, if you want to make it a tree branch, you could do that. And I'm going to take my nice flat brush that I love to use. And again, instead of, I'm going to hold it horizontal, but I'm going to just take it all the way across like that. I'm going to dip it in, wet it a little bit, dip it in my black. And you guys, I see that a lot of people when they're painting, the paint is all the way up here on the brush in the metal area. One, you're not painting with that area. And two, when you have that paint all over your brush like that, it's harder for you to control it. So when people's like, oops, it did this, it did that, the paint got here and the paint got there, you don't need to cover all of your bristles with paint. You can't control that. You can't control it. It does what it wants to do when you do it that way. So now I'm going to start at one end and I'm going to take it all the way across. And I like mine kind of thick. So I will come across one more time with that line. Again, you can make yours as thick or as thin as you like. I like that thick line. There you go. There's my line, my wire. And I just took it right across. It looks like it's thin there, but that's just because the paint is thicker. And it looks like it's thicker. And so it looks kind of thin in the middle. Again, that's okay, especially kind of if it looks like there's a reflection and maybe it's lighter there because when it's closer to you, then it's reflecting that light more so than what's in the back. The darker shaded area is recessed. So I do want to add some white highlights, and that won't affect the that mess with the black wire. You can also, now I don't have those things holding onto the wire, but if you wanted to do that, that's something that you could try. But for me, it looks like they're on the wire, so they're on the wire as far as I'm concerned. But I do want to, and I don't know, guys, next week, we're doing the lilac painting. And actually, I do have, I know at least 8 people signed up for next week already. So I guess, I was worried about whether or not I posted it soon enough for everybody to see it. But if I have 8 painters signed up for the lilac painting, I did post it in enough time.
Is that next week? Because I know I signed up for the lilac, and the lilac was the one I found first.
Okay. Yeah, it's not next week. It's the we off a week and then on. I think I have like a vending event next Thursday. So.
But I know I signed for the lilac first, and those are my very favorite flowers.
Okay, awesome. Well, you're gonna have fun with that then.
Well, we had fun with a lot of things, and the daisies right now that we did, or the flowers we did the last time. We have a pair of them on our dining room walls because they just came out so nice.
Okay, good. It's that contrast between that blue and the white. I loved it as well. So next, I'm going to my white. And this is optional as well. I just add a few highlights. If you look, you can see where I came on top with some white, just giving it a little more depth. It's not, if you're loving it, if you're loving your birds as is, and also it's opportunity if you want to mix, because you can see, like I said, I did put some blue in the green, and then I put some green on the blue. Just kind of seeing what it looks like and more texture and all that good stuff. So that's also optional. So just like some of the strokes that I added with the black paint, I'm going to do the same thing with my white paint. So some strokes, guys, just a few little, and sometimes they're a little bit on the black, but if it gets on, I try to kind of go in between the black, but if it's on the black, it's okay. It's not exact, guys. Just kind of some little strokes, because I got kind of heavy right there. So just some little strokes. I don't want to change the look of the bird with the white. So go light on the strokes, because I got kind of heavy. Let me see if I can wipe it off a little bit. I want to thin it out some, so it still just looks like a blue. Same thing with the rest of them. It's a little stroke. So sometimes the paint might be a little bit heavy. So if I dip it in my white paint and I wipe it off a little bit onto my tray, my paint tray, just to make it a thinner stroke, then come on in with the again, I dip it, I wiped on my tray a little bit, not all the paint off, but just to have some on there, but make sure that it's not too heavy, so that I'm not putting it on too heavy. So same thing with his tail area, and then some in his ruffled feather area. There's my bird off the wire. So I do like to encourage that you make the painting your own. So this is a time where you could maybe look at your background and decide if there's something that you wanted to add. If you wanted to throw some clouds in there. Of course, I'm not going to do any of those things. because I enjoyed them as is. But if you wanted to throw some clouds in there, maybe a bird flying in the background, maybe another bird here. Not maybe he's not the if you have room, but if you painted them big enough, like this one, I painted it a little bit bigger, so there wasn't much room left. Like I don't know why I get tiny when I get on screen. Yes, I do know why, because sometimes I tell you guys that to go big or go home, we have a tendency to paint or draw small, and that's exactly what happened here. Now, hindsight, I wish I had went huge on the birds. I could have made one a lot taller and like that. So that would have been fun as well. Anyway, you can go ahead and add a few things in the background. Like I said, if you wanted to give it, change it up a little bit, personalize and make it your own. If you if you used a branch instead of a wire, you can maybe add another arm onto the branch, or whatever you want to call when you have multiple branches, another branch maybe kind of come off that one if you made it a tree or anything like that. So, but I am going to go ahead and sign out for the folks that are on YouTube. Guys, thanks for painting with me. And if you have any questions, send me a message. My email is in the it's down in the comments, not comment section, but it's in the description section if you wanted to send me a message or check out my website, anything like that. So if you have any ideas of things that you would like me to paint, you submit that and I'll give it some consideration. All right, and good night, YouTube. So I'm going to stop that. Yeah, there it is, my stop button.